Hello everybody, this is Dongbek Sasang, and this is Death Delivery. I hope you enjoy. Doctor, the patient appears to be showing signs of consciousness. She yelled to somebody in the hallway. Thumping footsteps quickly entered the room. My God, we never thought we'd see the day, I heard the doctor say. How long has it been? Let me get the chart, the woman said. It's been 2 years. I've been personally treating Daniel the entire time, the doctor exclaimed. How could he have possibly survived that, let alone regain consciousness again? The woman observed. This is truly an achievement that medical science has never seen before. No doctor in the world would believe this. Suddenly, a person ran into the room, heavily breathing, and interrupted him mid-sentence. Doctor, we have a code blue in the IC unit. We need you immediately for surgery, the man said frantically. Let's go, he said, and hurried footsteps could be heard leaving the room. Who am I? I'm Daniel something Espina. That's right. I'm starting to remember the events that led me here. I can't really open my eyes right now. Apparently I've been in a coma for 2 years. Let me try to remember what happened. 2 years ago, I was a college student and needed to get a part-time job because my parents couldn't help me that much with my tuition. My family was never well-to-do, but worked very hard. They loved and supported me the best they could. I was just entering into my freshman year of college for computer science, so I had to get a full-time job while being a full-time student. Sucks, I know, but not everyone has it easy in life. I applied everywhere in the city but couldn't find anything. This was right after the financial collapse of 2008. Every part-time job opening had a stack of overqualified people applying. The only place that gave me a callback was this crummy little pizza place in the center of the city. The area it served were very dangerous neighborhoods. I should have never taken that job, but I had to. I could use my dad's car, and the late working hours worked perfectly with my morning school schedule. My first day on the job, the place already struck me as being a bit sketchy. The owners were these rural hick-type people, definitely not from the city, from what I could gather in the interview. They seemed to be watching me through the cameras and never talked to me face to face. I could see the cameras following me and moving towards me in the shop. In fact, I never even saw them once after the interview. Everything went through one of their employees. At least I thought he was at the time. He told me his name was Willie, but for some reason, I thought it wasn't his real name. Hi, I'm Danny, nice to meet you. I introduced myself on the first day of work. Willie, he muttered. He was wearing a pizza-stained wife beater that hadn't been washed in ages from the look of it. He had pale skin, a bald head, and scruffy stubble covering his uneven jawline. Quite overweight too, seeing how his guts sagged over his belt. The guy was really creepy. Have you met the owners here? I inquired. Listen, kid, we don't ask questions around here. You do what you're told. Do you want to drop out of school because you got no money? Do you want to live your life working a crap job for no pay? He was really riled up. No, sir. Then you're going to deliver to any place I tell ya. The ghetto, the countryside. You're going to deliver a pizza to North Korea if I tell ya. Understood, I said. Here's a little piece of advice. Get a gun. You're going to need one because they got 'em. He scratched his backside and went back into the kitchen to prepare pizzas. Every shift, it was like they were testing me, seeing how far I would go to deliver their damn pizzas. They sent me to the ghetto apartment blocks, rife with crime and violence. Every time you opened a door, you had no idea who was going to answer, and what crap they were going to try to pull. I got an order from a notorious apartment complex people called Aleppo. Why did they name it after a Syrian city, you may be asking? Because it's akin to a war-torn city in Syria. Obviously. I rolled up into the parking lot. I manually locked each door and triple-checked the handles to make sure they were all locked. I entered the lobby of one of the towering buildings. There was no security, and the hallway lights were barely functioning. Everything was filthy. When I got to the elevator, it was of course broken. It looked like it hadn't been functioning in a while. I entered the stairwell, and as I walked up the stairs, I even witnessed a few drug deals going down. Bloody paradise, I thought to myself. I looked away and didn't make eye contact with anyone, but I could tell what was happening. I got to the 4th floor and found the door. I sheepishly knocked on the door. What do you want? 3-sack or 8-ball? A voice said from behind the door. "Pizza's here, sir," my voice cracked. The door opened a crack with the lock and chain still latched. The door shut again. I could hear him unlatching the lock from behind the door. A large man dressed like a thug appeared and lifted his shirt to reveal a gun tucked into his waistband. I handed him the pizza. "And your wallet too," he demanded with a smile. This guy wasn't joking around. He was the real thing. He could have had me murdered right there and had my body never found again. I gave him my wallet and he shut the door. I quickly left the apartment, but didn't flee to make it obvious. I was an easy target, but couldn't show it. Anyways, the weirdest part was when I got back to the pizza shop, Willie could have cared less about the pizza. Even stranger, he gave me more company money to use when the customers need change for an order. Pizza drivers at this store weren't allowed to use their own money, and we were only allowed to carry small amounts of change. Oddly, Willie didn't give a damn about the loss of an order or company change. He kept saying it's more important that you follow orders. I would expect this little mom and pop pizza place not only to take that out of my paycheck, but also screw me on wages every chance they got. But they didn't. Why? Over the next few weeks, we kept getting orders from sketchy places, and sometimes I would get robbed or run out of the neighborhood. And strangely enough, every time I came back empty-handed with payments for the pizza, as well as company change getting stolen, Willie or the owners never really cared. He would always just say, "It's more important that you follow orders," and always follow them. I could have been stealing the company change every time, or giving away pizzas, or just selling them and keeping the money. Those people were not only crazy, they were dumb as rocks too. Anyhow, I didn't care because I was getting paid on time, and it was the correct amount, so it didn't really matter. I came to work one day just like any other. The evening rush came, and fortunately I did not get robbed or beat up, even though I delivered to some pretty bad neighborhoods that night. It was getting late, and any moment Willie was going to come in and tell me to go home, but it was well past midnight. "Danny, we have one last delivery of the night. It's a very special delivery, so you need to follow orders exactly how I say. Remember, if you can't follow orders, you can't work here no more. And if you can't work here, you ain't going to school. And if you ain't going to college, you're a loser the rest of your life." My heart dropped, and I felt a strange feeling in my stomach. My family immigrated here from Central America and worked themselves to the bone to provide a better life for me and my sister. I saw the life they sacrificed for us, and I had to make them proud by getting a good job and living a stable, comfortable life. I guess I'll just follow orders like he has ingrained into me. This delivery is very special, and the house is a little outside city limits in the countryside. Do exactly what I tell you. You hear me? They are a most important customer. If you don't listen to them, you're fired, he said in a serious tone. I understood, I said. I put the address into my GPS. Damn, it's in the middle of nowhere, I said to myself. I began to drive and got on the highway. Slowly, the city lights stopped shining, and I was outside city limits. The highway finished, and I got on the small dirt road with no street lights whatsoever. I could only see little farmhouses spread miles apart. It seemed impossible to find the address of the house written somewhere in the pitch black night. As I was driving past farmland, I saw the address written on a mailbox with reflective letters. Nice, the GPS was right. Let's get this delivered and let's get out of here. This place was giving me the creeps, I said to myself. I pulled up the long gravel driveway with wheat fields on both sides. The sound of crunching rocks underneath my tires could be heard. After a few minutes of driving up the long driveway, I came to a little farmhouse with no lights on, but I could see candlelights glowing from the windows. Fields of wheat or something surrounded the property. Who are these people? I said underneath my breath. I parked in front of the house and sheepishly walked up to the door. I lightly knocked on the door, and the door just opened. I don't know how, but it just opened, and I walked in. The small house was old-looking and run down. It had old-style decorations and outdated furniture arranged around the house. It had the old-person smell lingering around. I could see a deer head mounted in the living room around dingy wallpaper. There were two old people slumped over in wheelchairs sitting at the dinner table, in view from the door. There were candles sitting on the table to light up the house. I could barely see anything. They had white, stingy hair and wrinkly faces. They must have been at least 80 years old, and looked a bit senile. The man had this weirdly shaped piece of meat on his plate. Come here, boy. Come here, boy. The old woman was so excited to see me. Yeah, come here, boy. We're starving, the old man chimed in too. They were kind of fidgeting around in their wheelchairs. That'll be $19.99, please, I said politely. You don't need to tip, that's okay. No. First you need to sit down and join us, they said in unison. I really didn't want to join them. They were weird as hell, and everything about the situation was screaming run away. But I had to because Willie would fire me if I didn't follow orders with these special customers. Okay, but I really need to get home soon, I said. I did not like the looks of anything in this place. I was going to leave as soon as possible. It's okay. You really don't need to worry about that, she said. What did she mean? Wow. You look so healthy. Your body must be in good condition, the old man said as he picked up his fork and knife. He began cutting the meat on his plate. No more than your average person, I laughed. I was trying to joke around to lighten the mood, but nobody was laughing with me. Eat, my boy. This will be a meal you'll never forget, the old man said in a creepy way. Why? I was so freaked out. What does the liver do? He inquired. I don't know exactly. Maybe it cleans your blood or something? Why? I said again. They wouldn't answer though. I picked up a piece of pizza and took a bite so I could leave ASAP. What do your kidneys do? The old woman said with a strange smile on her face. I don't know. Why are you asking? I'm not a doctor. I laughed awkwardly. I was about to leave any second. Life is such a shame. Your organs, all they do is get worse and worse. You'll understand when you're our age, son, he said as he took a bite of the meat on his plate. I guess you're right. Why are you not eating your pizza? I said. I don't eat that crap. Only my wife does, he said as he started eating some strange meat on his plate. I love liver and onions, he said with a big smile on his face. Selfless! You can't eat another one of those. How many times do I need to tell you? Shut up! I can do what I want, please, Darlene, honey. Don't worry. We have more now, he said. Okay, guys. I have to get going now. I got up and started walking towards the door. The old man struck a match a few times and lit a large candle on the table with his shaky hands. The shadow of a towering figure standing in front of the door appeared with the new candlelight. Sit back down, son, or Wesley will get all agitated and violent. He always does that, the old man laughed. I went back to the table and sat down. Who's that? I frantically replied. Our son, of course, but he's a dum-dum and has severe gigantism. The person standing in front of the door was like 7 feet tall, and the outline of him looked more like an ogre than a human. I couldn't see what the person looked like aside from the silhouette. Sit down, stay a while. Anyways, what were we talking about again? Alright, organs. They're amazing, aren't they? They make your body young again. They taste delicious, and if you send them overseas, you can get a damn pretty penny for them. In that moment, I cracked. I got up, picked up the chair, and threw it towards the front window. It smashed through the window and landed in the front yard. I ran into the living room towards the window. I heard, "Get him, Wesley," coming from behind me. I jumped off the couch in front of the window and cut myself on broken glass in the window frame, but made it out okay. I fell into the front yard bushes. I ran to my car. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my car keys. I fiddled for a second, getting the keys into the door and unlocked the door. I got into the car, locked the doors, and put the keys into the ignition, turning the key. The lights turned on to reveal Wesley standing in front of the car. He was more of an orc than a human. His big head was bald and his teeth stuck out of his face. His eyes were uneven on his face, flanked by a long crooked nose. The old car stuttered but wouldn't start. Something was disconnected while I was eating. Wesley let out a large wailing sound and smashed his hands on the windshield. He violently smashed his fists over and over again like an animal. His fists became all bloody and he let out a mighty wail. The windshield cracked all over the place. He kept smashing the windshield until there was little holes starting to form. The windshield held up though. He lumbered towards the door and pulled so hard on the handle it ripped right off. He was standing right next to me, right next to the driver's side window. He punched the window full force and nothing happened. He pulled his fist back one more time and slammed his fist right through the side window. Glass shattered all over me, and I closed my eyes. I felt a huge fist grab my shirt and drag me out the window. He threw me on the ground and started pummeling me while wailing in a monstrous way. The last thing I remember was hearing the old man laughing and being carried downstairs into some sort of makeshift operating table. The nurse walked in the room, and I finally opened my eyes. The FBI wants to talk to you, the nurse said. A man dressed in a black suit came in. He showed me his badge and confirmed he really was an FBI agent. What do you remember, Daniel? He said, as he sat down next to my bed. Nothing, I said. Daniel, I don't know how to tell you this, but You have been organ trafficked. The pizza place you worked for was part of an international organ trafficking mafia. Luther and his family were all in on it. The old couple in the farmhouse were Luther's parents, he calmly explained. Who's Luther? Willie? I was confused. That's his alias. Unfortunately, you're not the only victim here, but you're lucky to be alive. The family was using the pizza store as a front to recruit people for their organs. They would sell them abroad, for up to $100,000 for a liver alone. Over the past 2 years, we have been building up a huge case against the whole family. The night you went missing, your mother called the police shortly after 2:30 a.m. She figured you were kidnapped or shot dead in a rough neighborhood delivering pizzas. The police traced the last number that called into the pizza shop to the small country house. Sadly, it took them several hours to locate and make contact with the farmhouse. By the time they rescued you, it was almost dawn, and your organs were never recovered. They immediately transferred them from the premises, and you were left to die. We found several graves in the back of the house. According to the police report, the police were attacked by a giant man which they shot to death in self-defense. By the time they got to you, your liver and kidneys had been removed, and they cannot be found. You're lucky to be alive, though. Truly. Also, we need you to testify in court. We may be able to speed up the transplant process if you can help us with testimony, he said. I looked down to see a huge scar on my chest, and a machine hooked up to me, apparently keeping me alive without organs. Well, we have you on a donor waiting list, but unfortunately people typically don't donate their organs, so you may need to wait up to 10 years for the right match. Only if people would donate their organs after they die. They don't need them anyways. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this story, it's part of a 6-story collection called Demons Unite. It can be downloaded at www.wherethekingsrest.com. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Dongbek Sasang. And lastly, donate your organs. You don't need them when you die anyways.